Even the next tab of the link I sent, the guy says the same thing at the end. They're leaving in 2027. Oh, yes. I think we covered this before, haven't we? Yes, this is the comet. Yeah. So this is, we've gone over this before. This is a post from, a couple months ago, right? 2 months ago, yeah. Here's this whole meme that it was discovered in 1953. Its next closest approach is in January 2027. I know what's coming. He was going on about the Pioneer and Voyager probes. The Pioneer and Voyager probes were ultimately, I think, after this comet here, which comes around quite frequently, but they think there's going to be some kind of catastrophic encounter with it in 2027. So, yeah. Yeah, yes, oh, brother, of course. Yeah, we were on top of this. I think Digi had found this and sent it as soon as it was posted because it has like Planet X memes with it a little bit. And he mentioned actually out of this, this is where I found the Jim Marrs page. So this is by Jim Marrs. I have this on my phone now. I got downloaded his book. Rest in Pepperoni, Jim. Jim was a great content creator. Jim Marrs on Above Top Secret. I used to love reading his posts, but he had a book called The Alien Agenda in 2005, a remote viewing session from the 90s, which was from somebody. I don't know if it's Transdimensional Systems or someone, but they talk about every 25,000 years, there's some kind of an encounter with an object. Now, the object spoken about here in the remote viewing that Jim got them, like put your fucking seat buckle on, right? And hold on to your slop bucket. Cause this is again, like level 10 fucking woo, level 11 maybe, right? Cause I have no idea who even did the remote viewing, right? So, but this has nothing to do with the comet this guy's talking about. What they're talking about in this remote viewing is Planet X. 100%. And in the remote, what happened, again, TLDR for people that don't know, in the remote viewing that Jim had dug up here for his book, a group of remote viewers were tasked to look at encounters that the government has had with ETs in the past, like face-to-face encounters. And there've been a couple, and on every occasion the first thing they brought up, and I've heard this before too, but the first thing they brought up to them was that in the future we're going to be having a cataclysm here and we have to get ready. And what's causing the cataclysm is Planet X. That's what's causing it. And that it was going to arrive sometime in the new millennium, and they had to get ready. This is back in the 50s. And that's what a couple of remote viewers had seen from different, different sessions that they had done. You take that with a bucket of salt, right? But this object he's looking at, he's new to this. He's done a lot of work into this object, but this is not the object mentioned here. In fact, this is not even the object really that was the priority, potentially a Pioneer. We'll go down this maybe later, but this is, where the fuck is it here? I pulled this up a couple times, but this is a graph that may have survived from somewhere, then ended up in a science book, but you can see, I'll try to blow up a little bit more. It's kind of a low resolution, but you can see Pioneer 11 and we've got Pioneer 10. One of their targets was the 10th planet, which is Planet X, and our dead star, which is Nemesis, 15 billion miles away. My bet is that this is something that maybe somebody slipped in there, because this is a suspicion some people had that there was maybe an intention with these probes to look, because this is around the time they're looking for Planet X. And one of the hypotheses floated around early was that potentially it's floating around some kind of dead binary twin of ours. So anyway, this is a New Science and Invention book, 1987, I think. I've got the cover for it. I have a video. I have a video of it too, don't I? I could show that at some point if anyone actually wanted to try and fucking buy the book, but it is real. And I don't know what had happened, if somebody had slipped that in there, but I think someone might have, personally. Yeah. Yeah. This is the stuff I liked at the end here. Fuck yeah. Yeah. Oh, this is the Jim Marrs meme. Yeah. So I've got the book on my phone, but I've read it out before. But yeah. So what you're saying is Jehovah's Witness, we're on to something. I guess a broken clock can be right twice a day. That's true, brother. We have a dead star. Well, yeah, it's called Nemesis Media. Yeah. Well, not officially, we don't. But some people have floated this theory before that we could have had because most star systems in the galaxy are binary star systems. So typically star systems come in pairs. There's 2 stars, right? We're an oddity that we have 1 star only, actually. And not most, but a large portion have 2, and singular star systems were almost certainly, they had a binary star, and either it got thrown, it died, it became a brown dwarf, and it got thrown out somewhere else, or it just became some dead inert mass. And that's what some people think that the Nemesis might be. It was a theory back in the 80s that kind of was similar to Planet X. It was maybe suggested to cause cataclysms periodically. Before we knew about the comet that hit even they were speculating about this giant comet that hit the planet. They're like, well, what the fuck happened? And some people had put a theory that, well, maybe Nemesis is this planet that in our solar system that comes around every once in a while and hurls trash at us. And this is, I personally think that this might be what's going on Planet 9. That might be what happens. But anyway, that's another meme. But yeah, so that's what this is talking about here, which is that we've got a dead star and we've got this 10th planet. This is printed in a science journal that, like, you know, anyone can buy. It's just a compilation. Every year they would do this of like things going on in the science world. And this graph was shown with no context, put in this science journal, which shows this here at the 10th planet and a dead star. And so it's always been kind of a mystery as to like what this means and why this was put here. But this, maybe some people speculated this was something that was going on internally. And this was maybe one of the kind of classified intentions of the Pioneer probes to actually look at these objects. Maybe they're actually out there. Maybe they're classified. So anyway, yeah. Real stupid question, but could a solar flare ignite one of those gas planets creating another sun? I don't think so, man. No. Yeah, they would they would have needed more mass, I think, to become a star or something. You know, like same with Jupiter, it doesn't have enough mass. It needed more mass to have any kind of that kind of activity at its core, right? So yeah, I think we're safe. But anyway, yeah. So this is, if anyone wants to look up and read this shit any further, how objectively interesting is all of this? This is woo to the 10th or 11th degree, right? The only interesting thing that I thought, with remote viewing, we don't know, right? And I don't know who did this either. That makes this even more sus because I have no idea who did it. But one of the teams that Jim was recounting here in his book, here's the interesting part about the conversation. I'll just clarify this. So I have it on my phone. I don't know if I can pull it up here in the stream, but I'll just TLDR what was said. During one of the discussions, so these remote viewers were tasked to look at these discussions the government had with these aliens when they arrived. Okay. In Jim's book. This is the data he got back from the remote viewers. And in one of the discussions, the aliens were telling the government, the US government, I think it may have been Roosevelt, the president, I can't remember who it was. Maybe, no, it would have been Roosevelt. Who would it have been? I can't remember. There was a name mentioned. Anyway, I'll just continue with what I was going to say. They told the government that this object periodically causes trouble on Earth. That sometimes, depending upon where we are in our orbit when it comes back, it causes more trouble or less trouble. But that this time, unfortunately, and there are some cycles, and I think this is what was implied by the other group, that every 25,000 years, typically, there's a really bad cataclysm from this thing. Sometimes it's not that bad, like the last 10, 12,000 years wasn't really that bad. But every 25,000, it gets really bad. They had said in this conversation, this is what was really interesting to me. I was like, oh my, here we go. They said that the orbit is an anomaly and that we had to do this. And they said it required a lot of energy to preserve life on the planet. And I said, oh, fucking, this is straight fucking, now we're going to level 12, all right? We're at level 10, level 11, now we're at level 12, woo, right, okay? They said the orbit of the planet is an anomaly, which is like, okay, so like 3,600 years. And they did it to preserve life on the planet, implying life as we talk about the Anunnaki. This is 1 to 12. So they were saying effectively, oh, we lost our music. We're on to some other weird music here. I want to go back to my Japanese music. So they were saying that they fucked with the orbit, which is an anomaly because they fucked with it, and they did it so life could be maintained there. So it's like, again, if this happens, it's one of those memes, right? Like, we constantly look out into the galaxy and we just assume everything has ended up there through God's will, or whatever you want to define God as, right? That, you know, everything just ended up where it is because, okay, this is just a long chain of events that led us here. And to some degree, that's probably true, but there's always that potential. And this is something that some people in science don't like to think about, obviously. But you do have to think about it. It's why philosophers remind scientists of these kinds of things. But there's always the potential there, right? That there's some force acting that we don't understand. And like it's with Descartes, the Cartesian Deus Deceptor, the evil wizard. The evil wizard is out there and you can never discount his or her or its presence. And that it could be doing things, things around us that we think impossible, right? Because think of us again. I don't really like this analogy, but I will use it. We're like ants in the side of a highway. It's like the ants are like, there's no way that beings could manufacture something like there's no context that they would have for what the fuck a highway even is. That it's used for cars to go back and forth to work, to your job at IKEA, right? Because you're just a slave to move this furniture around from Sweden and you have no choice because you have to pay your bills, right? Because you have a family and it's like there's no fucking, and like that's the level of difference we could be dealing with here. Could the aliens be at a level of advancement where they're actively going around and like fucking with orbits of planets so they'll be more likely to support life? Like, is that something we're ready to handle? Fuck no. Absolutely not. That, you know, and so when we're looking out in the solar system for things, we would never think to anticipate something like that. And this is where it's like, oh, well, that's not sustainable. It's like, well, no, it's not normally. Could it be? Well, I mean, I don't know. Anyway, this gets down another fucking rabbit hole we don't want to go down, but anyways, fucking sorry. So thank you, Jim, for that little tidbit from your book from 2005. But it's best, and I think I would agree with most people that it's best to just not really. We just go with what it's just. Well, we're just one crumb at a time. We're just trying to put this together, you know. All right, it is what it is. I mean, we could right now technically build a rocket attached to the ground, just out of the atmosphere and set it off to the effect Earth's orbit. On a theory level, we might have the tech and resources. How high would it have to be? 50 miles or so, isn't it? I don't know, brother. Yeah, you just broke that shit down, brother. Yeah, I mean, it's, you know, and that's, it's one of those things that could very easily lead someone to madness too, which it has many times for many, many people in philosophy, to literal madness, because they start doubting reality. So like one of the dark sides of that analogy I just gave, right, with the Deus Deceptor as aliens, is that, you know, you doubt everything out of existence except yourself, right? Because the evil wizard cannot doubt you out of existence because you're thinking. Like you're the thinking person. So like you could be brain in a vat, but you still exist. So he can't doubt you out of existence because you think, therefore you are, right? But everything else can be, and I've heard stories of this. I actually knew of someone who, I think he may have been also suffering from like early onset dementia, but he convinced, and there's a phenomena with this, that everyone he was dealing with was a product of his mind, that he was just in a dream, and that all of these people around him weren't real, and he went full-blown insane. He ended up in a psych ward. He was a philosopher, like not like a famous one, but like a local-ish one, and a little bit banana balls and a loopy, you know. And it's like, I don't buy that personally. I don't subscribe to that. But it can lead you down some rabbit holes. And that's where some of this could go ultimately with the alien stuff, where we don't really understand or think about this enough, in that, you know, if we're dealing with civilizations here that are millions of years old, man, like maybe fucking with the orbit of the planet is a walk in the park. Maybe that's just like an afternoon thing. It's like, yeah, we got to fix the orbit again. It's all fucked, you know. We have to maintain it so that it's stable, so that life on there doesn't die, because this is part of some greater plan that they don't understand. It's like, anyway, fun times. So anyway, so you want to read Jim's book, you can pick it up, Alien Agenda. I have not read it. I just read through those bits and pieces of it. So, Advar, thank you for the follow. Yeah. Anyway, someone needs to tell us what the hell is going on. We know nothing about anything. We do know some things, man. That's the thing, though. I guess, like, we do know, there are some fundamental things we do know. But when you compare it to what we don't know, yeah, it starts to look like almost nothing, probably. But it's enough that we could definitely ground ourselves. And I think that we're very fortunate we are where we are now. And the scientific community, as problematic as it may have become now with peer-reviewed journals and shit like that, and corrupted as it has become, I mean, for the most part, the scientific method is something that's helped us a lot in grounding us. And it's helped us kind of look at the world logically, rationally. And then we can kind of safely, for fun, look at some of these other things. Like this kind of woo type stuff. Now, this might become a reality someday. I mean, if there's any truth to any of this, it's going to become a reality, well, fairly soon, but hopefully not. But these things we shouldn't be concerning ourselves with, right? I mean, it's not for us to decide ultimately. All we have to decide is what to do at the time that's been given to us. And I don't know if memeing about this endlessly is really a good use of that time. Maybe learn how to farm. Maybe there'd be a better use of our time right now. Just learn how to farm. Right? Develop better social skills. Maybe learn how to brew beer. That'd be a good ability, right? Turn hops and shit and weed into beer, right? People think, oh, I'm a bunch of gold. It's like, brother, what do you fucking buy with that? Not the candy gold. Learn how to brew beer. Get good at brewing beer. That'd be a resource. You'd be a goddamn king in the aftertime. You can learn how to brew beer. Fuck me. Like you'd have absolutely everything you'd ever need.